mind is drifting away. Then I dream about times I wished for a new, happier day. If a hand could reach out right now and save my life somehow, I'll face the sun again as soon as this dreary night ends. Don't wanna go down like this. My head's in a place that I don't miss. So ugly, so grumpy. Sleeping in the meantime, just stay comfy. Once everything's said and done, I know I'll be okay, I will overcome. I'm hoping I'm here. I remember last year when I was alone in my bed, unhappy thoughts in my head, and living silently inside. Just keeping all to myself. Wished I could be somewhere else. Back when I could only hide. It's so late in the night. My mind is drifting away. Then I dream about times I wished for a new, happier day. If a hand could reach out right now and save my life somehow, I'll face the sun again as soon as this dreary night ends. In the night, my mind is drifting away. Then I dream about times I wished for a new, happier day. If a hand could reach out right now and save my life somehow, I'll face the sun again as soon as this dreary night ends. I'll face the sun again as soon as this dreamy night ends.
Hello. All right, there we go. Have to remember to turn the mic on. That would actually be beneficial. All right. So hopefully the volume sounds better this time around. Reposition the mic a little bit so that it actually sounds good. So we will give this a try. All right. So today I want to kind of talk about jobs and careers, because that's something that like a lot of people miss. Like they don't understand the difference in them, and yeah, um, they kind of go hand in hand, but they are definitely not the same thing. So like a a job is the contract that you took to work for an employer. That's really all it is. You you take a job to get paid, and that's really where a job comes into play. It's working for somebody, and there's some type of agreement in place to kind of for you to do something. Now, a career, on the other hand, is this overarching like I am this thing, and as you're sitting there going through your career, um, you have these skill sets, and you have this like this ideology and stuff like that that you're kind of like, oh, this is what I am. Um, for some people, it could be like a painter, an architect, a nurse, um, and that is a part of it. Um, Here, I can turn it up just a little bit. That'll probably help. Um, and that's a part of it because the job, a career is kind of, you have this overarching set of skill sets, you're doing something, and it's this part of who you are and what you're trying to do. And you tend to gain, some of this comes from the going through higher education or getting an advanced skill set. And as you use that advanced skill set, to gain into doing something. Now, for a lot of people, a career in moving into those skill sets, it's more of a hobby or an ambition to start out with, because you can have a job that has nothing to do with your career, and that's actually where a lot of people start at, is that point where, hey, I'm doing this, but I want to do that. So they're starting gaining that skill set to be able to do that and move into a career. Now, there's some careers out there that you can almost label as a hobby, because it's going to take a longer period of time to move into a full career. And with a career, it comes to the aspect of like being happy and being financially stable and being able to do all the things you want to do by just doing that, which is really, really difficult to get to. Especially if you're in something like art or musician, something like that. We're trying to move in from having this a standard job that's just paying you and just doing gigs and small things that are is bringing a little bit of income, but it's not your primary source. Uh, when you hit that point in time when you have a career, it's what you do. Like, you wake up in the morning, it's on your business cards. It's what you do all day long, and you have a passion that goes with it. That's why you see people who, when they really are with their career and they are happy with what they're doing and they've embraced it, they're just happy. They're happy and they can do things, and they're okay. But there's a lot to get there. Jobs, again, job is just the place where you picked up the contract. And there's two different types of things when we talk about contracts. It's like a contract worker, then you have an hourly worker. An hourly worker, you only have like X amount of hours. It's written down as part of the agreement that you came with the place. Most places, 20, 40 hours. Anything beyond that 40 hours is considered overtime, and you get paid to do overtime. And if you're not getting paid to do overtime, well, then they are not fulfilling their side of of their agreement for employment. Now, a contract worker is a little bit different. A contract worker is, you are obligated to do X amount of work, whether it takes you 2 hours to do or it takes you 90 hours to do. This is the work that you're doing. And for a lot of people, when they hit that career aspect, they're actually doing contract work, meaning that they're year-long contracts, 5-year contracts, depending on, and if you're like doing art or music or something like that, your contract might be more specific. Like, you do a contract to do a certain piece, or you're doing a contract to do a certain gig, and you're obligated to do that. That's what you're agreeing to. So the amount of hours to do it doesn't matter. So when you get into those places, like the bigger corporations, and you see a lot of contract employees, it doesn't matter if you do 40 hours a week. And you need to do at least 40 hours a week. But if you do 41 or you do 90, quite honestly, most people don't care. It comes down to what is your personal belief of how many hours a week you should be working. But hourly is very, very differently though. It should be, it's more based upon like how many hours a week you're working. All right. So people want, most people want to move into a career. And part of the idea of moving into a career is reaching this thing called like happiness with employment. There's other names that you can call it too, but you just want to be happy at your job. And one of the first things that most people misunderstand or kind of misconceive is money. Money makes you happy. This has been proven wrong numerous times. Now, the amount of money you make and getting to that point in time, that's what matters. It's when you hit that point of time where you're being comfortable with what you're doing. And that's a difficult thing for a lot of people to understand. When are you comfortable with the amount of money you're making? And can you live your life underneath that? Can you do all the things that you want to do? Can you go eat the foods that you want to eat? Do you want to live in the house or place that you want to live at? Do you want to work the hours that you want to work? That once that's fulfilled, the more money you had on there really doesn't really add that much more to your life. So you're going to see a lot of people who are very, very happy with their jobs, who are very like fulfilled with what they're doing, and they might not make $200,000 a year. They might be making $50,000, $60,000 a year because they're content. I mean, they're content. They are at that point in time. They're just happy to be there, and that's kind of a thing. Once you get to that point, you can make bigger decisions about your life. Like, hey, you know what? I like this job, but I can go work for them for the same amount of money, and they're gonna let me take 2 more weeks of vacation. That's where things like vacation and culture and your boss and what it is you doing, that starts coming into play once you hit that spot. One of the things I have seen a lot of people make a mistake is when they look at careers and they see this dollar sign above it, and you'll see something like, oh, if you do this career, you can make X amount of money. And that's what they start to follow. They see that and they're like, oh my gosh, I want that. I want $200,000 a year. But they don't actually like the career. They don't want to do the career. They don't really care for what it is. But they see that dollar sign and it's everything they've always wanted. Oh, I can make all that money. So they start chasing the dollar signs. So they start chasing these bigger positions, these job applications out there that have really, really big ones and have all these skill sets on it. They get it and they're not happy. And they start resenting their jobs from the get-go. They hate everything about it. They hate the employer. They hate the culture that's going on at the business, but they chase the dollar signs. They got that thing, money. Okay. Don't go chasing dollar signs because it will never make you happy. Money will only make you content. Once you get to that point in time where you can live your life, there's other things that'll make you happy with work. So can you have a job you love and content in the job, but hate your career? Yes, very much so. There's a lot of people who are in this situation who they absolutely love their employer. They love the culture of their business. They love the place where they work at, but they hate their career. Like everything about it is just bad. And they don't want to do it. And it's a thing. It is very much a thing, and it's an issue. What do you do in that type of situation? Well, maybe reevaluate what the career actually is meaning to you. If you're at that point in time, you're already in a career field and you're looking at the job, like I love the place I'm working at. The job I'm doing just sucks. Well, the career I'm doing just sucks. Maybe it's time to have deeper conversations. have conversations with your loved ones and maybe even your boss and your coworkers and be like, hey, I really love working here, but I'm having an issue with what my career stands right now. Is there things that I can do or change that's going to make my career happier or give me more fulfillment and kind of bring up that career side of it? Yes, there is. You can have those conversations. A lot of employers, a lot of good bosses, generally saying bosses here with quotes, people who are in supervisory management positions, um, they would rather have that conversation than you just hate being there or hate doing your that aspect of your daily life. So that's the thing. So what if you're on the opposite spectrum? Let's talk about that for a little bit. So let's say you're in a job, you hate your job, and you're trying to move into a new career, and you've looked out and you discovered you have a passion in something. And that passion can be a lot of different things. It could be like myself, I'm a computer person. I love computers, so I have a little bit of a passion for computers. I can sit here and talk about desktops and laptops and RAM and all that kind of stuff for hours and hours and hours. But you have people with other type of passions: music, movies, writing. Maybe you really have a passion to go help somebody. Maybe you want to be kind of a civil servant or a politician. So you tend to need to have the base job to start working towards the career, and you need a little bit of that aspect of making money to kind of move towards making a career. It has to be in some way or form, whether it's grants, loans, barely paying jobs, something that's going to bring in income to be able to fulfill that little bit of living, and that helps you kind of work towards that career, and then having some type of social component that it's going to kind of help you. It doesn't mean like teaching you, but help you, like having your personal relationships, having people you can talk to and chat with and be like, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. So you need to think about those things and consider that a little bit too. So you have this job that you dislike in a career that you want to move into. So should you just quit your job? No. Don't just quit your job unless you have a way to that aspect of covering those necessities of life. Some people are lucky; they have like a support network that can be able to cover that for them while they pursue and get into their careers. But then you have things like artists and musicians. You'll find them very often doing two things. They have their job that is paying the bills, and then their thing that they're trying to get into being a career. And a lot of times it takes longer to get there. And there's a lot of great artists out there. There's a lot of great musicians. There's a lot of great painters, drawers, that whole category that will probably never truly have what is considered a career in that field, but they are just as good. Is because it's sometimes harder in those type of fields to get that moment in time where it's like, this is my career. Again, a career once you can fulfill your life and move those things in there. All right. So that's where people go to schools and all that kind of stuff to go learn more. All right. So to get this career, to get this idea of a career and finding something that's happy to go with it. One, you have to know what you like, what you don't like. Oh, my voice is dipping. Okay. Let's try that. Get a little bit closer to the mic. Oh, there's my little dog. Hi, Grant. Oh, he's having his shades through the window. Yeah. You going to bark at the window right when I'm talking? Yeah. Okay. So a career, when we start thinking of like a career, and I said, we take out that aspect of money. Okay. Once you're at that point in time, let's think about everything else. So things that start to matter to people, and when they start looking at careers, like this is the things I want to do. Like, can I travel? Can I take days off? Health care, child care. Um, and it comes down to like the culture of the business that you're applying to. And this is something I found a lot of people don't understand and don't think about. So when you go to a job and you're kind of, hey, I'm on a job interview. Hey, I want to work for you. And they start asking you all these questions. An interview is a two-way street. It's not just you who are getting questions asked. It is totally okay to ask the interviewer questions, because that little spot of time is the time to figure out if your values match their values, if you like that business's values, and if you like that business's culture. Because without those things matching, then again, you could have a career that you love and a job you hate. Because, and I've seen this, another thing that I've seen is people will take this job thinking that it's absolutely fantastic. They love their career. They get in there and the business is bad. There's not good management. They do not believe in other things, because there are companies out there who don't believe in like childcare or giving time off to go do things, or a whole plethora of other things. Like it's totally fair to say, hey, as a question in a job interview, to go back to them and goes, hey, what happens if I get a telephone call right now saying that I have an issue at home? What would you tell me to do? Would you tell me to wait till I get off work, or are you going to say, go ahead and take care of it? I mean, that's a valid question, because that will help you kind of see how they are going to handle it. And then you hold them to that question, because I mean, you don't want to lie during an interview, but you don't want to be lied to. And they're not going to try to. Or you can, in a question like that, you'll be able to kind of tell who they are as a person, or as an organization. So culture really comes into play. So do your eternal values, the things that matter to you, the things that will make you a person, the things that you wake up in the morning and go, I am this. Does that company view those values the same way? And if they do, if they do, then how do you fit into that organization? How do you, as somebody who has the same values, fit in there? Okay. And how do you fit into that organization? How do you fit into that company? What would make you a valid member in fitting into their culture? And every business has culture. And a lot of times you can find out this culture even before you go into a job interview. A couple ways that you can find this out: by looking at LinkedIn, Glassdoor, looking at what other people have said, asking them questions during the interview phase, everything leading up to that point in time. Because if you make it all the way to the interview, you already have the qualifications. You are more than likely on that short list of getting the job. They're not going to interview 1,000 people. They might get 1,000 people who have applied to the job, but they're only going to interview maybe 10, 20. And more than likely, about 90% of those ones are people who are totally 100% qualified to do it, and they're just looking at individual aspects. Do you fit the team? And that's another big portion of values and culture. Do you work well with the rest of the group? And it is totally okay to like look at their values when they ask questions. What type of questions are they asking? The questions that they're asking are directly going to tell you what type of person they are, what type of things are important to that organization. Or are they asking a lot of questions about diversity, about how you deal with teams, how you deal with this or that? Then those questions, those things are probably stuff that comes up with this. So that's a really big portion of it. So let's say you have a job that you don't like. You have a job you don't like, but a career that you love. the job you don't like, it is okay to go looking for a new job. This is something that surprisingly a lot of people don't think about. There's this, I don't know, there's weird mindset that's out there. Like, say you take a brand new job, you're there for a month, and you realize that you are not a fit for this company. You love your career, you love the stuff you're doing, but the place itself is not good for you. It doesn't mean the company's bad. You're not a good fit. It is totally okay to go looking for another job. You're not really going to harm anybody's feelings. And let me tell you a deep secret from the aspect of business: nobody cares, because I'll just rehire it. And that's another part that people tend to forget about when it comes from the job aspect. 99% of the time, that job is just replaceable. The skill set you bring into the career and the career, that portion there is necessary to have done that job, but there's going to be other people who can also do that job. So it's okay. It's okay to kind of look at other jobs as you go searching things. It's also okay to tell your employer, hey, I'm looking for a new job. Especially if you've been at a place for a while. You can tell an employer this, and you can also tell how they're going to treat you accordingly. Long before then, you should know, hey, if I go to my boss and say, hey, I'm going to be looking for a new job, I have an interview tomorrow. If he doesn't necessarily support you, he's probably not going to support you for anything that you're doing at your organization. Because professional development, growing as a person, growing as in your field is really important, especially when you're at a job and you're working on a career, because maybe you don't necessarily want to stay in the same role all the time. Maybe you want to gain roles. Although, you know what? It's actually totally okay to not want to be promoted. It is totally okay to look at the role that you're doing, the job, where you are in your career, and be like, I'm happy. I don't need to change this now. Because that doesn't mean not growing in your career, because there's all types of ways to grow. I work in technology. Technology changes on a dime. So I am constantly having to learn things, so I'm constantly growing. Doesn't necessarily mean I want to change my job. It doesn't mean that I want to change in my role. I can grow in other ways, but still fully feel content at the location and where I'm working at. To look at my employer and go, you know what? I'm fine with what I have here. And it makes me happy. It makes me content. And getting there is probably the hardest thing for most people to do. And yeah, it is what it is. It takes a while to get there. You got to have the right motivations. You got to be looking at what it is you're actually trying to do. Then you have to have the right support. Say people who go out there and try to do, like, move into things like YouTube or Twitch or something like that. And if you go into it thinking you're going to, like, be the biggest star in the world, and you kind of realize along the way that you're never going to be that, that's fine. But you should just go into it having fun. You should be doing it because you enjoy it. Become a lawyer because you enjoy laws. Become a doctor or a nurse because you enjoy being in the hospital, helping people. Become a firefighter because you enjoy fighting fires. Don't become a firefighter because you want to be on the cover of a firefighter's calendar. Probably not the right motivation. Don't join a tech job and learn programming and learn all this stuff if the only thing that you want is a high-paying salary. Because a lot of programmers who aren't fully engaged and employed are unemployed. They're contract workers, and they only work for 3, 4, 6 months at a time, and then they go into job hunting. Um, that's a very common thing, especially in a lot of tech industry jobs. You are a contract employee. You only work at a place for short periods of time because they bring in assets to do things. And that's another career decision and a life path choice that you could eventually make. It is entirely possible to live a good career, a and have a happy life and content by just doing part-time work and just taking contracts on and doing 3 months here, 6 months there, because maybe you only need that, and you like to hop from business to business. When you're first starting out, when you want to move into a career field, people tend to look down for some odd reason. There's a lot of people who want to look down on contract work, like going out and doing that initial little 6-month contract, 2-month contract, small little gigs. Those are what help you move into a career and gain this thing called networking, because networking is what helps make the career. It's not what helped start it. You have to have a passion. You have to go learn. You have to go do. You have to keep making yourself better. But once you start doing that and then start networking with other people, that's what helps you start getting better jobs. And those better jobs help you move into the career. And then you get to the point in time where, like, hey, I can do this full time. So a lot of little pieces there to get to that point in time. Careers, not everyone's meant for every career. Should everybody be able to move into any career they want to? Yes, that's possible. It's definitely not me saying that there is nobody not capable of doing something. It's more of, as you're going through there, and if you're going through it and you realize, I don't enjoy doing this, then it's not the career for me. It's not the career for you. You have to have a little bit of enjoyment with it, because there's no career out there where you're going to constantly learn more things about your career. Even if you go do a lot of education, you go get yourself a master's degree in something, you're not done learning at the end of it. Guess what? You've actually just barely scratched the surface of the amount of learning that you're going to do. You're probably going to spend the rest of your life learning. Anytime you attach the word career to something and you want to start looking into that, guess what? You are going to constantly and forever be learning. And when you make that final choice to go, you know what, I'm done learning, you're probably time for you to retire. Yeah. So that's something else to think about. Can you live your entire life without ever having a career and only working off jobs? Yes, you can. You might be completely happy with it. You don't need to have a career. You don't. I don't know. A lot of people say you have to have a career. You don't. You can just work if you want to work. You might be fulfilled. This word comes into like having passions and hobbies, because not every hobby out there and every passion leads to any type of sustainable career. A lot of athletes, kayakers, hikers, maybe that's their passion. Maybe hiking every single weekend of your life is your passion, and you just work jobs so that you can feed into your passion, and that is totally okay. The thing that everyone has to realize is getting to do things and living a content life is really the most important thing. Everything else is secondary. And the question always is what makes you content? Is it having cars? Is it going for hikes every day? Is it playing with your dog? That's the deeper question here, is what's making you content. So So yeah, jobs versus careers, they go hand in hand. They really, really are kind of intermingled with each other, but it's taking that next step. That's what's really important there. It's going from that job and moving into it. Can you have multiple careers? Yes. Uh, Myself, by this point in time, I've had 3 different careers. Um, and probably before I die, I might have a 4th or a 5th. It really just depends. I'm very happy with my current career and content. Um, could there be a point in time when, as you have a career and you no longer feel content in it and you feel like it's time to move on? That does happen to people. Burnout happens. You lose your passion in it. It just happens to everybody at some point in time. Some people are able to just take a break from it for a little while. Some people need to take a full-on, like, I'm going to go do something else. And some people, just their career ends. There are career fields that disappear, and that's a thing. As we progress and we move into a more technology related state, it is a higher chance that a career is just going to disappear. And it just happens. A lot of times there's a lot of transferring of career things into another role. And people just choose, like, you know what, I'm done. I don't want to do that role. I don't want to learn those skill sets. So and it just happens. There are other careers that over time advancements have kind of limited the use of them. Yeah, it's a thing, and it's going to get worse. As we progress and become smarter as a human race, and we invest more and more time into our technology, we eventually get to the point in time where we realize we can just automate things, and we can create the technology to eliminate that aspect of things. Horse and buggy, moving into cars. Are there still places out there that use horse and buggy? Yes. But would I necessarily choose to do a career in being a horse and buggy person? No, because you're probably going to be very, very niche. But if you can find the right audience, then yes, you probably could. So, yeah. You don't, as I said before, I said that a little bit ago, you don't have to have a career, as long as you're content. So other things that kind of lead to making people content and making them feel like more appreciated when they're at a job or something like that. As I said, healthcare, baby care, those aspects of things. But then there's things like how do people treat you? If there's the aspect of wanting to go to work and you like talking to your coworkers and you don't dread every single conversation, or you generally, like, look at it like I can see myself doing this. I'm getting old. Found something wonderful in our area. It's called delivery cookies, and I had one right before the stream. And now I'm gonna cough. Ah, peanut butter cookie. I think that's something that needs to be more of in this world, is delivery sweets. Like, I want delivery cheesecake. I want delivery donuts. Like, we need more, like, dessert delivery. think my cough is gone. We need more dessert delivery in our world. Like finding a place that does delivery cookies at 7 o'clock at night, and apparently the place is open till midnight. Absolutely fantastic, greatest find ever. Now we need to find a donut place, and then we need to find an ice cream place, and then I need to find me a ramen place that delivers at late night, even though I don't eat too late at night anymore. Oh wow. All right. So when it comes to this conversation, I think today that's probably about it. That's all I really wanted to talk about. Just rambling from a guy who talks about careers all the time. So just a little bit of thought about what I think about when people talk about jobs and careers and where it's going to and what they should be doing. And going to take a course or studying something is not a bad thing. It'll help to tell you if you actually like that. And it's totally okay to choose and say, hey, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. I want to go choose to do something else. You're looking for that thing of happiness. And if you can be happy with what you're doing and feeling valued at work and feeling that I belong, then either a job or a career totally fine. It's a deeply personal decision, and there comes a point in time where it's not seeking advice from other people. It's looking at yourself and going, "This makes me happy," or on the opposite, looking at something and going, "This does not make me happy. I have to change." So, all right. Well, there's Ryan's 2 cents. I think that kind of says a lot tonight about jobs. So when it comes forward, every Wednesday I'm trying to do something. I'm going to try to be talking some type of tech thing on YouTube. So come by 5 o'clock Wednesdays. Probably be only for about an hour. Not a long time, but it's enough. And yeah, I don't know what I'm going to talk about next week, but I'll figure it out before then. All right. Have a good night. Bye. I need an ending scene. Picture of Grunt waving bye-bye. I think will come next.